8 parts. 8 parts. You remember that? We're going to start with the general conventions. Plot number 1 is going to be pink. We're going to take 8 cards. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Let me see if I can. I'm not as important for this. Even though I'm incredibly handsome, I'm not important for this section. 1, 2, 3, and 4. It looks like they don't want to come out. They don't want to be written on. We're going to do this 3 times. But, no. We already have this part done. So we are going to do it only once. Since this is our first story, let's make things easier for us. My shirt says artist. Hey, thank you. Oh, look at this button all closed. Look, now it's more me. Now it's... So we're going to start with naming each section. Because now we're going to write what each character is going to go through while going through it. So we're going to write 1, 2, 3, 4, like this. Here you see in one corner, it doesn't matter, we just need to have it written. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let me circle all of them to keep some cohesiveness. Okay. We already have the meaning of each section, but to go back to it, let's see it. Let's just see it. Let me select it for you. This or this. Why don't you want me to show it to them? I'm trying. Okay. It's getting there, but I can also show it to you normally. It's because you know how our iCloud is. You know how that is. So, the perks of iPhone, I guess. Where is my... We'll use this one. No, this one is a mess. Where is my paperwork? Here it is. These are the things. Okay, it's definitely not going to be possible. So these are the things you're going to need to know about your character. You're going to need to be able to answer where they were at the beginning of the book for plot 1, where they were at the beginning of the book for plot 2, where they are at the beginning of the book for plot 3. And this is where they are in their mental space, not in the situation, where they are as a person and what made them make these decisions. And then once we know all this, we'll put it in place in every card. We're going to need to know certain things for the what. That's the tropes or archetypes. That's the main plot of your character in regards of the story we're telling. Then we have the theme. The theme is going to answer to why. Why are they doing this in section 1? Because of the lack of connection, because of the lack of freedom, because of the lack of choices. That's going to be our themes. And it doesn't matter what theme we choose, because those themes are going to change the way we tell our story. So once we choose our themes, we'll be able to mix everything together. But as for now, we don't need to know the personality. As you can see, I don't need to know the character's personality. I haven't said, Is he a happy person? Is he a sad person? Because you really don't know me to understand my story. You watch my videos without knowing if I am a sociable person or not. You can tell I am because of my actions, but I'm not always the sociable. Some days I don't feel like it. Some days I get online and I don't feel like being online, so I disconnect. Sometimes I'm not as fun because I'm not feeling as much energy. So it doesn't matter what personality I have. What matters is what personality I present or how I present myself in certain situations. So we're going to learn how UMC presents themselves in certain situations, and then once we know how they do, we ask ourselves, what type of person would be doing these things in these situations? And now we start adding those details slowly, so the reader has the chance to see themselves as them. We shouldn't give the reader too much, because if they have too much, they only have space to put of themselves too little. But we want to have not a 50-50, but a 70-30, maybe a 80-20. So we give the readers the chance to put their thoughts and their imagination into the character, so they can learn to be like them, or see themselves like if they're them. And then we're going to have things that are going to shape the world. What's going to shape the world? The things that are going to be where? We need a magic animal. The magic animal in a fantasy. In a non-fantasy, maybe it's a fiction, you have an animal that's going to be a representation of what's happening in the story through the character. Maybe as putting it as an example, in my story I have multiple animals, but one of them that we see the story being told through is the butterflies. When there's a more amount of energy, when we have a up valley, or when we have things going up, that's indicated because the characters can see the butterflies. If we have a moment in which we don't want to say that things are about to happen, but we want the reader to realize that things are going to happen, we can use the butterflies to increase the amount of butterflies, indicating an increasing amount of power. If we want to increase the stakes, we can do it through, for example, the weather. If we know that our character has fire powers, we can say that everything is happening during winter. Why? Because we want to make our character encounter the most resistance. Because against the most resistance, we have a character that builds the most resiliency, becomes the most resilient. Hey, Giant Imagination! Nice to have you around. I'm happy you made it. And through the magic animal, we'll tell the story. We'll tell the story also through the special interest. The special interest, you see it in many movies and shows as something super random. And we have the characters all of a sudden that they like, for example, sewing, and it's just something they like, but sewing in reality doesn't tell the story of what they're going through, or what they're doing, or what they want to do in life. So those things are going to get fixed by using this structure. So let's start with the things we know. We know that we have, first of all, let me see if this lets me. Come on, iCloud. Okay. I don't know if you remember this, but this was our story. And at the beginning, we have it was going to be I have an iPad in front of me, so we don't need to do it the bad way. We can do it easy way, in which I look at it and I tell you instead of waiting for you to see it. How about that? How about that? How about that? Okay, give me Let me show it with this. This will be easier to show it with this. So since we're here, let me find it. Don't get impatient. Don't get impatient. Be nice. I'm saying be nice like if I'm nice. Am I nice? I'm not nice. Sometimes I'm nice. Sometimes I am. But not always. Sometimes you'll find me angry. But that's not what we're talking about. So, as we say, oh, what you doing? What you doing? We say that we have to introduce. I'm going to remove the things that I put, but I'm going to leave the things that we put together as a group. So the things that we put together as a group is that is an alien science fiction story. So since there's so many options for the science fiction story to be about aliens, we can see it from the perspective of the aliens. We can see it from the perspective of the humans. We can have a mixed perspective from humans and aliens. It was going to be a dystopian, but it can be dystopian from the perspective of the aliens. It can be dystopian from the perspective of the humans. So since there's so many possibilities, there's so many things this book could be, we need to decide all the things it is not. So what is it? It's an alien story. So for an alien story to be, we need introduction of the aliens. So when is the first time we see aliens? The first time where's the pen thing? Let me here. So since the first genre is science fiction, the first thing that happens has to be science fiction related. So number one, we see number one. We see number one and we write it here. Number one. Then we're going to put this to, I'll find a way to put all these things together. I'll find a way one day. I don't know how I'm going to do it yet, but we'll do it. Number one, inciting incident. Incident. And then underneath, what has to happen here? The things we know. If we have everything we know, it's easier to say, to put it together and reorganize it. How do you feel about the prologues that introduce the later on characters without context? I hate prologues. I heavily dislike prologues with a passion. I dislike them, but I appreciate when a writer does them right. They say that they use it correctly as a way of making us understand what's the context of the book. Don't tell me things about the book that I'm going to read, because that's what your first chapter should do. But you should know what's going on through the main paragraph. The first paragraph of the writer's book should tell you what's happening, when it's happening, who it's happening to, and why it's happening. You should be able to find that in the first 100 words. If after the first 100 words, I don't know what's going on, who's doing it, where we are, or where it's going, you didn't write a good first paragraph. So you should go back and fix that instead of making the reader have to sit through 6 pages. That's like, I don't know, like 2,000 words, something like that. I don't know, like almost 3,000 words of words just to get something, just because as a writer you didn't put the effort into blending in it correctly within your book. That's how I feel about prologues. I understand that sometimes books need context in order to be read. That enhances the experience of the reader. For example, If it's a science fiction book and the prologue is about how this book comes from a different world to Earth, you don't put me that in the first chapter. That's for context. So that's the prologue. So now I understand that in this book, in this world that I'm reading, I'm someone that encountered this book and is about to learn about something ancient or something future. So that we get it through the prologue. But if you have a prologue with 3,000 words in which you're telling me the story of the world, who is going to participate in it, and all this stuff, I'm like, let me stop you there because I'm not going to read it. If your prologue has more than 2 pages, I'm not reading it. That's my rant against prologues. So I know there's people that love prologues. No hate on people that like them. That's why they're there. They put them because there's people that like them. Me personally, I don't like them, and I don't encourage people to read them. So you won't hear from me. Yeah, read prologues. Maybe one prologue in particular. For example, Dermis Metropolitan has a prologue. He's really well used because the prologue is not part of the book. Is a news report. Is a news report in a style of an edited news. So we get the context in which we're going to be taking this book. So there's prologues that actually work. But unless you're doing something with it, wave your story well. And to do that, that's why we're here. That's why we're here. So as we were saying, in the inciting incident, since it's a science fiction alien, we're going to write a dot and we say alien. Well, we already have this. A part of me, I want to rush because I feel like I have a lot of information that I want to cover. So I'm sorry if it feels like I get times that I get nervous because I want to rush it. But I'll take a deep breath, and if we have to come back next week and keep going with the characters, we'll do it. You know why? Because this is the internet and I can upload it any other moment. A giant imagination says, I only like prologues that feel a little bit like a conclusion and it picks up immediately. You see, there's people that like other types of prologues. You are wrong! No, I'm joking, you're not wrong. You are not wrong. You like what you like, and that's exactly why there are different type of writers. Because there's also different types of prologues, and maybe I'm talking like this because of my own experience with prologues. Maybe I'll find a prologue that's like, wow, incredible, and I'll be like, yes, I needed to see this. And if you'd have listened to me, 100% you wouldn't have done it, and now would have missed that. So whenever I say something, listen to me, but also don't listen to me. Listen to me, but doubt me. Try it, and if it works for you, awesome. And if it doesn't work for you, move on. Who am I to tell you what you're supposed to do in your life? I'm just some random dude on the internet. So listen to me, what works and what doesn't, don't. And that's the trick of surviving in the internet in 2024. Who would have told you you'd have gotten a survival guide while learning how to write a book? You get multiple things in this life, multiple things. So you are welcome. You need to stop me sometimes, okay? If I start rambling nonsense, you need to stop me. I kept saying how I'm going to speed up because I'm going slowly, and you keep letting me just say dumb shit. Okay. Number one, inciting incident, aliens. Aliens. That's the number one thing that we need to see. Aliens. It's science fiction. Aliens. Point two, introduction. Introduction. So since in the introduction, we need several things. Okay, let's see if I can. In the introduction, we introduce why the aliens appeared in the first place. So, introduction. Why aliens? Why? We'll add more questions later, but this is how we start. Why aliens? For stage 3, after why aliens, we have meet aliens allies, or we have, in this section we call it allies, and we meet allies / positive actions towards the MC. Positive in the terms of in prose of the in the direction of the plot. Every time we have positive and negative, is not going to mean good or bad. It's going to be in pros or against. So we meet the allies and what they are doing in pose of the plot. Allies positive to plot / MC. Why? And in the second one, I forgot to say why aliens and negative, because why negative consequences. There are consequences because it's why. Why did this happen? Because of bad things. Why did the aliens do this? Because of bad things. So, in the introduction, the answer that it has to be is because. We're not going to write because, but it's going to be there. Aliens is going to be, the question is, what? What is happening? Then we have allies. Allies is who or with who. You cannot see it properly, I think, but I'll find the way. Who, entre parentheses, with who. We meet the allies or people that act positively towards the plot or the MC. In the fourth one, we have enemies. We call it enemies, but it's not really going to be enemies. It's going to be people or things that are working actively against the MC or the plot. It can be anyone. Sometimes we'll see allies, but everything the allies do in this section, even if we don't understand it, it will be negatively impacting our MC or the story. And that's going to be easy to place. Even if later we want to change the direction of the story or the shape of the of it, we'll be able to do it knowing who's doing what and why. So, number 4, enemies. And the enemies are like before, who? But we need to know more things from them. And since before we met the allies, here we meet antagonists / negative impact on plot / MC. And we move on. These are the things we need to know about our book. These are the elements that we are going to need to be able to write an alien book. Meet aliens, and it can be, and I see meet allies and antagonists, because we don't know yet if we are going to write about the aliens or about the humans, or we're going to write about both. It can be two humans falling in love when, or practicing dark magic to fall in love when aliens appear. It can be aliens falling in love when humans attack the alien world through a dark magic portal. It can be a human tired of the world makes a dark magic pact right when an alien appears in the planet. It can be so many things, and we're still using the same gender conventions, and we still had four completely different stories. Don't let people convince you that having structure will make your story boring. Having structure will make your story more understandable, easier to follow, more entertaining. It will help readers and write and overall people. If it becomes a movie, it will be easier for you to make it into a movie because you'll have exactly the things you need to make it a movie. But that's further on the road. Right now, let's continue. We already did the first part. The first part, the good thing about it is that it's easy. It's up, down, up, down. It's creating. Hey, Dominique, we just got into the midpoint. In my own story, I'm just writing section 5 right now. We're just getting into the mid of the book. So this is going to be great for you and for me. We're doing character creation, but first we are putting together all the elements we had from last week, so we can decide where we're going to put what and which characters we need to tell this story. So we, on section 5, once we have made the allies or the things that positively impact the MC and the things that negatively impact the MC, and the reason why we put them one after the other is because of contrast. With that contrast, it's easier to see what's good and what's bad. Even when we're trying to confuse the reader, they'll understand it within their confusion. And smart readers that pick up on things quickly, they'll be like, wow, they did that. They'll be so happy that you understood them. So let's continue. Inside, the fifth part is the midpoint. Let's call it midpoint because it makes it easier. That's how everyone calls it. So we're going to call it. And thank you very much for the likes. We are on 3,000. In the midpoint, we have the MC do something. So what does the MC do? We already had a story from last time. We said that alien is crashing, is chasing a dark magic sign that is too strong because of a lunar conjunction. We're going to add those things in a bit once I write these things down. We'll go faster with the other two storylines because they are only half and a third. Actually, they're like 2/3 and a half, something like that. Yeah, exactly that. So in the midpoint, we have the MC. Do look for something or learn a new magic or a new technology. We say MC gathers new alien tech, and it has to be alien tech and it has to be new because we're on the half part, and the MC has to have done something to get it. So the MC gather new alien tech, and if the MC gathers new alien tech, in section 6 we need to see how fun it is to you. Oh well, not how fun, but how that alien tech is used. So in the sixth part, we have the we can call it the first challenge, or we can call it mastery point. Mastery point. As you can see, here we don't have a section that says part A, plot A, this is what happens in plot A, plot B, and now we have a complete different story because they achieved the first goal and now they have to go against their inner mistake. No, everything they do is a positive thing and it's a negative thing. You being sociable is a good thing in some occasions and it's a bad thing in others. It doesn't matter what you think about your gift. So this structure help you see your gift in a different way, in a way that it doesn't matter what you believe, what matters are your actions. So it gives control back to the MC and to the writer, while making it look like everything is just happening. Or maybe that's what I think and I'm just talking of my ass. So it could be either any of those. So we'll find out once we once we write our book. So far I'm going to say that I feel like I'm right, but I've been wrong before, so who knows. Okay, we master alien tech. And in the process of mastering alien tech, then we see that after the mastery point, we have the dark side of the soul, the dark moment. Everything goes dark. We lose everything. We call it total loss. And in the complete loss, we realize that we come for the writing, we stay for the tangents. Thank you. That makes me feel so much better about my rambling. So, let me find. This is for you for handling all these that I'm making you go through. 7, the dark side, total loss. What happens here? Whatever we thought, it can be, since this is from the perspective of the alien tech, total loss is we lose the alien tech or it doesn't work. MC can't use alien tech. Or antagonist has better tech or same tech but better master, or better mastery. Very good. So what does this tell us? That when the antagonist forces win, that has to be a direct loss for the MC. If the antagonist win things that have nothing to do with the MC, why are you telling me? If it's not going to be useful, why are you telling me that this is happening? And 8, conclusion. Let's see for the conclusion. So in the conclusion, you must be wondering, Zen, what happens in the conclusion? Please tell us. Well, calm down, first of all. let me tell you, calm down. Number 1, you need to chill. Number 2, thank you for the excitement. And number 3, let's go for it in the conclusion. That alien tech was missing a key part. Alien tech missing key elements. Missing key elements. Achieved thanks. Missing key elements that MC learns / journeys. He journeys to use. And you see that I use the term he journeys to use it and not just learn to use it, because this has to have been his part of his entire journey. Him learning to use this missing secret is thanks to everything he has been going through. Somebody, hi. Thank you for joining. And that's number 1. Then number 2. Now we have already finished writing it with the main storyline, the alien storyline. Now we're going to add the romance storyline. No, we're going to add the dark fantasy elements. I wanted to make it more of a romance than a dark fantasy, but I want it to be more of a fantasy than a more of a dark fantasy than a romance, because even though those elements are going to still be present all through the book, all through the short story, the romance is already there. We're already going to, I'm a romantic person. I'm already thinking about how the romantic elements are going to fit all around the story. So I don't want to take away from your experience to have a dark fantasy just because I want to focus more on the romantic part. We can always add more romance through storytelling. We don't need to make it a romance with them saying, I love you. He can have something in his hand and fight to not lose it, to get hit and still not want to let go. And then we can see how the other person is like, oh wow, you kept it. You didn't have to. And like, yes, you gave it to me. That's why I kept it. And now you want to cry because you have seen everything this character have been going through to keep this thing, even though the other person felt that it was insignificant and that they would have lost it. This person felt that it was so important. And now that story has meaning. And without needing to add 400 words of, I love you, but I love you more, but we cannot be together. But so let's go with the dark fantasy. Where does the dark fantasy start? Do you want me to show you the image again? If I have to, I will. Dark fantasy, since it's going to be our secondary genre, we're going to put it here. You see this? Where does it start? In the introduction. It starts in the introduction because the introduction is boring. I'm sorry, someone had to say it. The introductions are boring. So in order to make the introduction no boring, we're going to introduce the inciting incident while the introduction. So why aliens? Because dark magic. Bam! Or because the aliens, dark magic. And now you have two different stories in which the dark magic causes the aliens, or in which the aliens cause the dark magic. And those are two different stories out of the same two elements. Don't let anyone make you believe that genre conventions kill creativity, or that structure kills creativity, because and I'm not aggressive. Look at me, I get sometimes all worked up. All worked up. So let me chill for a second. If not, this book is going to go off the rails. You're just watering your dog. I'm reading out of context. Yes, it creates it. Yes, it's like a blueprint. It's like going into a field and saying, build me a house. Like, well, what type of house? What space do I have? Well, this is our space. We have 80,000 words. We're going to divide it. Oh, look at this. I need to fix my dreads. Look at that. This is not a good angle for me, eh? Oh my God. Oh my God. I'm okay. Let's see. Where were we? We have still a little bit of time. We go through the dark fantasy, and we're going to need different type of characters. So in order to create the characters, we need to know what type of characters we need. So we already said that today was going to be character creation, but the characters are directly connected to the story we're telling. So since I'm going to take another card. This one's going to be green for you to see that I'm writing in a different thing. So we're going to write characters. Characters. And we're going to write 1. All these are going to be tentative characters. It's not that they're going to be the MC or the secondary or the tertiary. These are characters that we need, that need to be mentioned in the book for the book to be what we're writing. So we need aliens. 2. We need the romantic interest. We need a romantic interest. 3. We need also a antagonist. And 4, we need a MC. And I put it in 4 because the MC can be the romantic interest, the antagonist, or the aliens, or someone else completely. So that's why it's 4. And these are the minimum characters that we're going to need to tell our story. If you want, the thing with this is that each character is going to require at least a minimum of 3,000 words to make them work. That means that if you want to add more characters, you are going to need 3,000 extra words per character. And if you already have your story and you want to add one new character with name and past, you're going to have to find a way to make it work, because a character well flashed needs at least a minimum of 3,000 words. If it's a small story, if it's a story with less than, if it's a novella, I wouldn't recommend to put more than 4 characters, because this is already 1,200, let's see, 12,000 words. 12,000 words is a big chunk. Not a big book, but it's a novella at least. It's at least a novella. So this is what you need to tell a story. At least these characters, minimum. So since it's going to be a romance, well, these are the characters plus the world building. So we're going to write characters and world. And for the world, we're going to need 1 dystopian world, because we're going to need to create contrast. We need contrast for the aliens. So 1 alien world. 1 alien world, because the world has to be different from ours. If we don't have an alien world, where are these aliens coming from? Then the the story changes. If these aliens, we say that they are time travelers from space and they are us from a different part, and then they need to come from somewhere. And if they don't come from somewhere else, then it's a different story. Now you have a time travel story instead of an alien story. And you just changed your genre completely, and you just disappointed your readers. You made an alien story about humans. And you might be thinking, wow, I was so smart. But many readers are going to feel cheated because they wanted to watch an alien story. So we need an alien world to a dystopian world, and 3 dark magic world. And these worlds they don't mean that they have to exist somewhere else. They have to exist within the context of your book. But we'll talk about that later, because we'll treat them the same way we treat the characters. They are going to be treated as characters. They still have and that's a really fair perspective. I was thinking that time travel and aliens go together well, but the switch can disorient readers. It's not that it's not only that it disorients readers, it's that it cheats them. It's a lie. Now you don't have. Now you're saying that there's no life outside the world, that aliens is not a thing. But the people that are going to watch an alien story is not people that want to hear about alien denial, or that they don't want to hear about other theories in which that aliens are not real. They want to watch a story in which there is something that comes from outer space, something. Say, I wouldn't have thought of that. Yeah, me, when I go to watch an alien movie and you don't give me aliens, be like, what did I go to watch? If I go to watch a romance and all of a sudden at the end when they're going to kiss, the character dies, it's not a romance. Even though we went through a romantic story, the fact that it ended with a dramatic ending, you broke the story. Now we don't have a romance anymore. Now we have a drama. So you have cheated on your readers. Readers know what Earth is like, so building the alien world where they can visualize alien culture is very important. Exactly. We need a contrast. Yes, these aliens are different, and the fact that the aliens are different will give us a different understanding of the world. If they have 4 feet and they manage things with mental powers, we know that it's not a world in like this one, because that type of life doesn't develop like that. But the more elements we add that make sense, the easier it will be for the reader to break the disbelief. But as we were saying, since the dark magic section is going to be secondary and not tertiary like before, we're going to make some slight changes. Like, for example, the dark fantasy with the inciting incident in dark fantasy is that we need to see dark magic happen. So why aliens? Because dark magic is happening. MC does something to activate dark magic. And the things that have to be happening is that the main story has to have a global effect, something like we said before, the double moon conjunction. The second one has to be big, but not as big. This has to be something like Christmas. It has to be a holiday, something that us as humans we have chosen for all of us humans. Within your world, this can be Christmas, can be happening in Halloween. And then the third one has to be something more personal, something that's happening to them. See, something like their birthday, the day of their graduation, the things like that. Those are the third level. So once we have those three levels established and we have our characters or the plot asks us when, we're not going to say the big thing, we're going to say elements of those things. For example, when did the main story happen? When the gravitational pull was the strongest. Why was it the strongest? Because of the double moon. You see, we didn't say the double moon. We added the effects of the double moon. Or for the secondary plot, when we're in the introduction. Why the introduction? Why the dark magic? Because it's happening in a holiday day of the year. Let's say that it's not only the double conjunction, but the day that they decided to do this and the aliens got activated or whatever, the day of the dark magic was the day of Halloween. Just because this is just for now, it's on Halloween. And then for the third plot, once we have the allies, why are the allies there? Because it's someone's birthday, because it's someone's graduation. So now we have every element is introduced in its right moment for its right reason. So the bad things that are happening because the characters did something in the right direction. When next time something good happens, is something good happening because previously the consequences of something bad happened, the consequences of the thing they did before are coming now, and the allies are helping to fix that. So the story makes sense just by telling it. And now we know that what type of character will have allies willing to help? Someone that also helps, or someone that is likable. So now we start thinking about what traits we want our character to have to be likable about. So it has to be someone that can convince other people or to do dark magic, or that is willing to help other people to doing dark magic. And those two will give us two different characters. So now while building the genre conventions, then we need life really drains the Wi-Fi. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Especially if you have 4K and things like that. Oof. Yes. So now that we have the MC does something to activate dark magic in the introduction. So then in the third, in the allies, for the main one, they introduce the main plot, blah blah. But for the MC, for this one, you can see here that it's 8. It's not that one per se. It's 3. So what happens in 3? We're not going to introduce this one here. Is 1. We skip the introduction because that's boring. So we go to 3. No one's going to explain where the dark magic comes from. This is going to be for the reader. Your secondary plot is not to give explanations. Your secondary plot is to create wonder. It doesn't matter what type of book you're writing, if it's fiction, non-fiction, you always need to create wonder in your reader. And this is one way to create wonder. Hey, thank you very much for the gifts. Books and Locks. Thank you. And thank you for the roses. And once we and hearts. Thank you for the hearts. So we have the allies in section 3 that appear. Wait. We have 3 and 3 happening at the same time. Yes. Let me make sure that I'm doing this right, that I'm explaining it to you right. Yes, we have 3, 3, and 1. So we have the allies again, but the allies are going to be we're going to see characters related to the aliens. Thank you very much for stopping by and for the gifts and everything. So we have the meet the allies from the alien related, and then we meet allies, everything is same, through the dark magic. So once we have the dark magic introduced, as we have it here, it's easier with my finger like this. We have it here. These are 3 and 3. These are 2 allies. And then was going to break the allyship, quote unquote, as the inciting incident was going to shape the allyship is the 3rd genre. If it's if it wasn't a love story, it would be, thank you for the roses, it would be something bad happening. Maybe it could be, if it was a drama, it would be a breakup, death in the family. It would be something bad. But since this is a romance, this is going to be something good. So the good thing happens between the aliens and the dark magic. And it can be that they find a common ground. It can be, whoa, hurt hands. It can be that the dark magic is something positive for the aliens. It can be that the aliens are stranded in Earth, and the dark magic is hurting them, but the love interest is someone without magic, and that's why they connect. So you can build different stories thanks to knowing which elements you need to add where. So we meet the allies from the dark magic side, or how the dark magic is used in a positive way to move the plot forward. And then the enemies. We also, again, since we had the same thing for the enemies and allies, this section is world building. In this section, we're going to learn more about how everyone in the world around the MC relates to each other. And we have seen how the good things that the allies do with the aliens and the dark magic are happening. And then how or the enemies are using dark magic, or the enemies are aliens, or we can see how the aliens or the enemies are gaining strength. You can see this from different perspectives. You can see it like showing the MC how people are suffering, or you are telling them, see, people winning and the people we are rooting for are suffering. That can be a choice. That's a choice, and they both fit in the same place, and they have the same function, even though it seems like they draw a different shape. Is the same one, because the MC losing or the enemies winning are both against the plot. So now section 4, we meet and since we have this paper here, we're going to know all the things that these people are going to need to do. Meet antagonist, dark magic. So in section 5, once we have gone through that, now dark magic is section 5 as well. Now the 3 of them are section 5. To go faster, we're going to write them, since now it's, well, no, I'm just going to continue as now. And we have 30 more minutes, but we're going to treat this a bit differently. Yes, it's true that we have 30 more minutes, but we're going to go for a bit longer, at least until we can catch up and have at least you can know the things you're going to need to write about your MC. And those things you're going to take them home and you're going to do that as homework. I know, hate me as much as you want. You got homework. But it's homework for you. And if you don't finish it, we'll do it next week together. So you do as you feel like, eh? If you some people need more strict supervision. And if you're that type of people, I'm sorry, because I'm very not strict. I'm very not strict and very not serious. So that's going to be a problem. You can go you see yourself. I've tried to say it differently to avoid getting banned, but you know what I'm trying to say. Okay, section 5. In the dark magic, the MC, since the MC gathered new alien tech, we can say that dark magic is used to find alien tech. Why do we have them differently? We need one to accompany the other. And since our main thing that we're looking for is the alien tech, we need to show the MC actively pursuing the alien tech. And the way to actively pursue the alien tech is through the secondary genre, and that's the dark magic. So the MC uses dark magic to gather alien tech, and that alien tech is going to be mastered in the next point, and we'll see what happens in next point. And we are seeing it, actually, not we'll see, we are seeing it right now at the moment, currently. Let me drink some water. I'm here just talking a bunch of nonsense at once. So as we are with the section 6, so once we have mastered or we have used the dark magic to find the alien tech, as you can see here, or maybe you cannot, but I hope you can. You see, this is 7. 7 is this. So if it was the main plot, if the dark magic was the main plot, we would be talking about this section. And we're talking about this section here because it's the secondary. So the bad thing that happens, the consequences of using the dark magic to gather the alien tech, can be that we lose access to the dark magic. And some people can see that as the internal conflict, but we're not going to talk about that yet. That's something that the reader or the spectator needs to find within their heart and be like, wow, I think that they cannot use it because they have this feeling within them. That is not my place to tell you. It's your place to discover, because this will reflect within your life. And since everything is guided the same way, this story is going to be able to be told, and you're going to be able to find yourself connected to every section of it, because everything is going to make sense, even though when I speak it doesn't. So in mastering the tech, for the secondary plot, section 6 is section 7. So we say that in respect to the dark magic, MC lose access to dark magic. We'll write why, because for example, if we want a character that can do dark magic, but renounce to the dark magic so the other character can use the alien tech, we have a character that's giving. If we have a bad character, or we introduce here something about the villain, here the villain might do something, and the MC loses access to that dark magic because of a betrayal or because of something else. Here we might not see the betrayal yet, but we can see the consequences of it. And the MC discovers the betrayal with the reader, or the reader sees how the MC discovers the betrayal later in the dark side of the soul, because they lose everything. So MC loses access to dark magic. But on section 7, we see that for your secondary plot, that's something good happens. So while the MC can't use the alien tech, or the antagonist has better technology, from the dark magic's point of view, it's something positive that's happening. It can be that since later dark magic comes back. Since we don't know in which way it's going to come back, but we know that the third storyline is a romance, what's going to make it come back is a kiss of true love, or the fact that they're in love, or some love story is what's going to make it come back. So the dark magic is going to be an important plot later. Well, it's going to be important not only to the overall story, but also to the romantic, to the connection. So now that we have the third plot, and the third plot starts in the allies, but it starts with an introduction. It starts with the inciting incident, meet cute. So allies, the allies we have, when the allies of the aliens and the allies of the dark magic collide, we have the meet cute. Meet cute. Love story. And we have a meet cute with a love story. This is going to be a short story for now. And once we get to the end, I'll write a short story, you'll write a short story. This is going to be an anthology of short stories. Once we finish this process, I'll tell you what's your part, what's my part, how many words is it going to be. We'll read them and we'll do all the process. But it's going to be an anthology about aliens, dark magic, and romance. That's going to be the main story, and you can write whatever you want. We'll write it together. So now the romance. We say that it starts in section 3 with the meet cute. Give me a second, I need to blow my nose. I had ticklish in my nose. And now the meet cute happens in section 3. In section 4, we have 4. In 4 and 5, the most important parts of your storyline are 1, 4, 5, and 8. 2 and 3, 6 and 7. Just give context of what are the things that happen in between for this to happen. So we have minus, mass, minus, mass, mass. If that's if you can tell a short story, those are the minimum elements that we need, because those are the 4 points in which our character does something that actively puts them in some point. So on part 4, what do we see? MC's enemies or a love, since it's a romance, antagonist, love interest. Antagonistic love interest introduced. We introduce the antagonistic love interest. How is he introduced? By doing something that negatively impacts the MC. Three parentheses, negatively impact MC. And we move on. Now when we do that, now 5. 5 is the next one that's important. 5 is the next time the MC. You got elevated yesterday and got an idea for a story you haven't written in over decades. But please, let's do it. Yes, we're doing this together. So I'm going to find time to upload for different genres, what happens in each section in different genres. So if you decide that you're going to write a romance, you can take the bits of a romance and apply it to your book. You can take the bits of other book and apply it to your story. It doesn't matter what story you tell. You can tell any story with this structure and the key elements. Any story. So for 5, the midpoint, the MC has to do something against the negatively impact introduced before. So since it's a subplot, it's a subplot, the romance is not going to be all the way flashed out, but it's going to have really quick beats. The MC, we're going to have the meet cute. We're going to see who's against the MC being with this person. We're going to see what the MC does to be with the person and how they end up together. Those are the 4 beats that we need. Only that. Because it's going to be the love story is not that important. So we see 5 is MC sees actions in favor of romantic interest or / and against antagonistic romance. Okay, so then we have the 5 and 6. The 6 is going to be love interest reciprocates. Because it's a romance, it's not a drama. So the love interest reciprocates the MC's advances. MC's advances reciprocated. And those are the main elements that we need for our genres. So once we have this, now we can take this. Now, what are you doing? Now we have this. Exactly, it has to be. If it's not reciprocal, you don't have a romance, you have a scary story. If they don't want you back, you are a stalker. If they are interested in you, it's a romance. Those are the only key differences. So for the next 15 minutes, I want to tell you the things that you're going to need to the things that you're going to need to say in order to create a character. we're going to need to know what the character is going through for the three storylines. So let me, the first thing I'm going to show you, is it up here? It has to be one of these ones. It's this one. But it comes out like all ugly. So I'm going to not show it like that. I'm going to show it the other way. Jump scare. Flip camera. These are the things you're going to need. It says trope, but it's in reality doesn't matter if it's trope or it says trope because that's how I used to call it before. But it's going to be archetypes. Archetypes or journeys. What's your character journey in the first plot in the terms of the alien? And you can make it anyway. For example, in terms of the alien story, my MC, let's make an executive decision. As for right now, I'm going to write 2 or 3 different ones. I'm not going to compromise yet. I'm not going to compromise because I know myself. So let's imagine it's about the alien story. We have the aliens appear for the first time. Then, why did the aliens appear? The aliens appear because they need something or because something's happening. Then we have the aliens' allies, the aliens' enemies. What are the aliens doing for the story? Now that, what are they doing to fight the antagonist force? How they master the skills to fight the antagonistic force. They have become stronger. Then we have the negative. It's going down. I'll have to fix this. It's going down. Here we have that everything that they practiced for, everything they trained is useless. But thanks to someone else, some other alien, some alien technology they didn't know, they can do it. They managed to win. Now let's tell the same story through the dark fantasy. We have the dark magic. Dark magic happens. Or the MC does dark magic. Then why did the MC have to do dark magic? We can tell these things later. What's the character journey with this? Why did the MC, is the MC the one doing dark magic or is the MC the alien? Once we know the characters we're going to have, we make them go. If the alien is our MC, what's the alien doing within the science fiction trope? What's the alien genre? What's the alien doing within the dark magic genre? What's the alien doing within the romantic plot? The romantic interest. What's the romantic interest doing in terms of the alien and the science fiction, the science fiction alien? What's the romantic interest doing in terms of the dark magic? What were they doing in terms of the romance? And the same thing about the antagonist. And if the alien and the MC are different, we'll do one for each. And if the aliens are not going to be a character that is a main character, if the alien is not the MC, the alien goes down here. And they become part of the world. So, unless they are the MC or the romantic interest or the antagonist, the aliens are going to be part of the world because they are the context. Whatever, if you're not the main character, the romantic interest, or the antagonist, you get relegated to the world. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that your story is told differently. It will be told within the alien world, or within the dystopian, or from the lens of the dark magic or the aliens, as you can see. So another thing that we're going to need to know, the themes. What themes do we want to talk about? We can make it easy. For example, since it's an alien story, what do aliens represent? They represent people that come from different places. They represent what do you call this? Strangers. They represent many things. So you can have a connection. So what does connection mean in terms of your alien? Well, they are well connected. They are not as well connected. Your alien gets better connected, gets worse connected, gets better connected, worse connected, better connected. What does that mean in your world? UMC finds someone that can help them. UMC, why does UMC need someone to help them? What is UMC lacking? Who's helping UMC? What's going against UMC being helped? What's UMC going to do against the people avoiding him getting help? What's UMC doing once they achieve their goal? What happens? What's something that the MC wants to avoid? And that's the thing they're going to get. What's the one thing the MC doesn't want? And then, how does the MC gets connected again? Here, since it was connection, how does the MC lose all their connection to their world or their people, whatever? And then, how they gain the connection back? Let's say that we want to talk about power. It doesn't matter what these characters are. These themes, we can decide them and fit them within the story. Let's imagine that I want to tell a story about power. It doesn't matter if it's about power within ants or if it's about power between inanimated objects. Because let's say I want power. I want to start with a character that is looking to obtain power. Character tries to obtain power. Why does the character want to obtain power? Because they don't have power. Who are the people that the character wants to emulate that have power? Who are the people the character wants to avoid because they lack power? What's the character doing to avoid being like the people that lack power? What does your character do once they obtain power? What does your character do once they lose all power? Even more than all the power they had before. What does the character do to gain their power back? So we can also do that. When it goes up, is your character doing actions. When it goes down, is the world acting on your character. That's another way of doing it. And you see, we're talking about power and choice and all these things without needing to know what type of personality does your character have. If he likes to shower at night, we don't need to know those things yet. We can know those things if they're important in the special interest. Are they interesting to your character? In my story, each character has a different special interest. Let's say the one about cooking. I have a character that his power is related to cooking. So the first thing that he does is cook something that shows that his power is related to food. The next thing, why does he need to have his power related to food? He doesn't have power, and the only way he has to gain power is through eating. Who are the allies? He's cooking for someone. He wants to eat or he wants to be strong for these people that has helped him cook, or because this is the people that are strong. These are the people he wants to win over because these people are stronger than him. He needs to eat to be stronger than these people. And these people are so strong, and it goes against the plot. Why? Because this shows how not strong our character is. Then we have this, how our character, after being strong, having friends helping them be strong, and seeing how not strong they are, they show everything they're going to do to be strong again. What they do once they're strong again, and how they lose the thing that made them strong, they lose it. And they find that their real strength is something else, is the power of friendship, is the power of love, anything related to your secondary or your third genre. We are going to do the same thing about about the magical animal. Let's say that your character has a dog. What does your character do with your dog? How does your character get impacted negatively by having a dog? How does your character get positively impacted by having a dog? What are the enemies doing? Or how does the enemies try to use your dog against you? What does the character do to avoid the enemies using their dog against them? How does the MC make their dog stronger? How the MC nearly loses their pet and then the pet gets better. And all these are happening, those things are happening within the same story. And where are they happening? Whenever we need something that goes against the plot, we can just pull it from here. When we need something that goes in favor of the plot, we can pull it from here. We have so many things to not be repetitive and that will be related to your MC. So what you're going to do, you're going to take a screenshot of this and you're going to tell me, you're going to think about your story. You don't need to write it down. Next week, we'll come back here and we'll do this again. But we're going to do it just about the characters. We're going to start with the MC and we're going to build everything else from the MC. And you should already know how to use the grid. But if you don't, I'll upload more videos about it. But I want you to see what are the pain and regrets. That's another thing. When they say the inner or outer problems, don't worry about that. Pain and regrets, that's what you're going to show. What hurts them? What's actively hurting them? What makes them feel better when they're hurt? What hurts them from their friends? What are their enemies doing that benefit them? And all these things are going to give more perspective to your character. And if you know these things, let me, I feel like, okay. These things, once you know these small details about your MC, you don't need to know their personality, because the fact that they're going through these things will make them act in a certain way. For example, the fact that your MC just got betrayed, it doesn't matter if they are very social. They just got betrayed. Of course, they're going to be distrusting of other people. UMC in section 5 is gaining confidence in themselves. So it doesn't matter if they were depressed in section 4, because in section 5, they are showing that they are getting better. You don't need to know your character from beginning to end. You don't even know yourself from beginning to end, and you live with yourself since you were born. You still don't know what type of personality you want to present on the internet, and you have been an adult for how many years? Are you telling me that you need to know all your characters from completely when you don't even know yourself and you have a life? You don't need to know that. You have friends, you have family, and you have loved ones that you know virtually nothing about their lives, and you still show them love, you still show them attention. You actually, just because you don't know them that well, you pay attention to them. You try to discover what does these things mean, and that's, you'd be robbing your reader and your watcher from that opportunity from knowing too much. You can know as much as you want, it's your character, but to the reader, give them what they need, so the other things can be discovered slowly. And with this note, we're done. I'm going to take a 2 minutes break to go to the bathroom. I'll be back and we have final notes, final thoughts, where we're going with the story, if we like the small changes we've done, and all this stuff. So give me 2 seconds because I'm literally dying. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So impatient. I'm back. So now that I'm back, you have seen how this will begin. We already have a good story. I think the story as it is right now, even if you just tell it sequentially, it's already more interesting than 90% of movies that came out these last couple years. That's simply just by adding the elements that make the story the story. That shows you how many people are out there making things just because they can. You don't need to be perfect. It doesn't even need. Oh, it doesn't even need to be good. It needs to be done. And now you have a way of doing it not only faster but easier by reducing the elements that need to be brought from your own head. So if you this is very thank you, I found it inspiring to myself as well. So yes, and we as we read in during book club, there's books that are really bad, that they're badly written, they have no structure, they have bad prose, but they're very popular. So you are here sitting down on a great story for sure that just needs some polishing here and there, but I'm sure that you're sitting on a fantastic story. So please give us the chance. I'm sorry, that has to be. Ah. So yeah, give us the chance to enjoy your story. I Here we go. I think that yes, it doesn't need to be interesting. It doesn't need to be good. It needs to be done. Uh, and the thing is, using this structure, it would be structured. We are only on iteration 2 creating characters. By the time we're on iteration 5, your story will be so well fleshed out that even you could just turn that in and people will be like, wow, with this story, how did you integrate these elements so well? It will be, even if you just want to tell it, but the moment we start adding elements like show don't tell, alliteration, sequential naming, the rule of 3, the rule of 4, anandoras, metaphors, and we start adding all these elements that come at the end. All these things come later. Once we have done the things that we need to get done, we add the things that make it beautiful. In nursing, or in nursing, they use the Mars Mars walls, Maslow's um, hierarchy of needs, that says get what you need first, then the next one, blah blah, and you go like the pyramid of needs. Well, this is going to be something like that, but not in the pyramid of needs, but filling up the things that we, let's see, how do I say this, but filling up these little squares that we're adding. Maslow, exactly. And but I'm going to tell you something about Maslow's pyramid. I like it more when it's inverted. When we focus first in creating safety for the community, we inadvertently create safety for ourselves. If we live in a community that no one is hungry, we don't need to be worrying about our own hunger. If we live in a community in which everyone is keeping everyone safe, I don't need to worry about who's going to come into my house, because I know that my neighbor is helping me. I know that the person in front of me is checking for me. So I think that the Maslow's pyramid should be inverted. We should focus first in creating safe places for everyone, and secondary, our own safety. But that's easy for me to say because of my own situation. It's not something I can go and tell someone that's already in need, that's already down, and tell them, worry about yourself second. No. Worry about yourself first, because without a life, you don't have a life to live. So once we finish with the big things that are needed, we start adding the small ones. Like now we have the general conventions, we have the things that make your MC go through, UMC tell the story they need to tell. We're going to have the things that the world needs to go through to tell the story it needs to tell, because the world is going to be treated as another character. Your role is going to be going to try to tell a story about power and control too. Or maybe since it's a dystopian world, your role is going to tell a dystopian story. So we're also going to work toward that. So since it's a dystopian world with aliens and dark magic, the first thing that's going to happen, we're going to decide what type of dystopian it is. But that's for section 3, once we have decided the journey of the world and all this stuff. Because since it's going to be a positive story, it's going to be it doesn't have to be a positive story. Since it has romantic undertones and science fiction, I want to end with a positive tone. So the dystopian world is going to end up positively. So the first thing that happens has to be the dark magic and the aliens have to be appearing in a way that challenges the dystopian world. That means that if it's a world in which people are forbidden from using dark magic or forbidden of using technology, the MCs are going to use the dark magic to gain the alien technology, or they're going to use alien technology to gain the dark magic, because both of them have to be intensely connected to be able to tell the story that we want to tell. So if the MC does something that's positively impacting the overall narrative, that shows us how does the dark magic and the aliens and the romance and the dystopian work together. Many times we watch movies and it's like, what's going on? Where is this coming from? Yes, it's dramatic, it's extra, but why? It's because those elements are disconnected. Many times people try to use mystery elements in stories that are not mysteries. And he's like, why are you doing that? It's not even hidden. You already said it before. But the author was like, oh, just to add some mystery. It's not a mystery. There's no need for you to add a mysterious subplot. Sometimes we have stories that have nothing romantic between the MC and then all of a sudden romantic lead, and we have to be like, wait a minute, this feels wrong, and it feels dirty. So these are things we're going to be fixing with the narrative and the way we're going to be approaching the next sessions. So in the next one, since you already have homework, I want you to use these plots or tell in your free time. Take when you find yourself being able to think about random things, sit down and think, okay, what is my alien MC going through in 8 bits? And you can see it mentally. The first one is up, then down, then up, then down, then up, then up, then down, then up. Why is it like that? Because we create a rhythm that we are going to break. And you don't need to, you know that you have something that's going to happen in the same direction as the end. So you know that your beginning and your ending have to be positive. So if it starts positive, your next one has to be negative. If the next one is negative, then the next one is positive. And like that until you get to halfway through. So the next two are positive. Why? Because the one before the last one has to be negative. I know as I'm saying it doesn't make sense, but I can say it while showing it to you. The first one and the last one are positive. If the first one is positive, the next one has to be negative. If the next one is negative, then has to come out positive. And after positive can only come a negative. But if the last one is positive, the previous one has to be a negative. And if the previous one is a negative, we need something to break the rhythm. So the sixth one has to be a positive, and the seventh one has to be a positive. The fifth one has to be a positive. You see how they're both positive? Because we are breaking the rhythm. If this was negative, then this one would be positive, and this negative. We wouldn't have broken any rhythm. And if we break it at the end, we are betraying our genre. So this is just pure logic. So if you find yourself not remembering, oh, section 5, was it positive or negative? Write it down. You just need 8. You can write 4, another 4, and start. You can write lines. Actually, let me show you what I'm talking about. If we have the tools, why not show them? Let me show you what I'm talking about. For example, let me find a pen. I'm going to write it somewhere here. If you find yourself not knowing how to do it, just do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You have 8 lines. And you know that the first one and the last one are positives because whatever direction your story is going, it has to end up there. So we do positive and positive. We know that after each positive have to be a negative. So we do negative, negative. After each negative, we have a positive. So we do the positive. Positive, positive. You see? And we know that when you are in the beginning of the book, we're creating a rhythm. So plus, minus, plus, minus. So the next one has to be a plus. And we got it. So in section 1, inciting incident, something positive in direction of the plot. Section 2, something negative against the plot. 3, in favor of the plot. 4, against the plot. In favor, against, in favor. And you have created a rhythm for your reader that then you are going to break. And it doesn't matter if you want to tell the story chronologically or not chronologically. It doesn't matter. You just have to give the reader these experiences. And I think that's about all for today. That's a recap of how you should have done, or how we did last week. Outlander is a great story, but always catastrophic negatives. Yes, it is. I feel it every time. It's so dramatic, but that's the goal. That's because it's an epic romance. The goal was to make something that the romantic gestures become greater than the things that are happening, and to make it as great as they could, they had to show how everything else is big, so the actions of the characters become bigger by action, by the fact that they have to do it. It becomes greater than what they had to accomplish. So that's why it's so dramatic but so well written. And that's something you're going to be able to do, because you'll be able to decide how big those curves are going to be, how big those dramatic ups or downs are going to be. That's a choice that you're going to be able to make with this structure, because you're not going to be held by the whims of, today I'm not feeling like writing something sad. If you don't want to write something sad, based on your own writing psychology, exactly. And if you're good at writing, you should write a self-help book. I was writing a self book. That was my first intention. It was called From Hero to Zero. It was based on the 12 jobs of Hercules. After he killed his family, he had to go to redeem himself to his cousin's place. So the book was, once you have touched floor bottom, how to lift yourself once you are on your zero. Okay, no, don't worry. Thank you very much for, before, if anything happens, thank you for being here and for listening for so long. We are actually going 20 minutes over the time, so I'm sorry for that. And once you go from zero, the 12 things to dominate, quote unquote, in your life, to become the hero of your own world, the hero of your story. So I thought about it when I heard about the hero's journey as a story structure, and I just didn't talk about it ever again. But now that you say it, I'll think about it, how to apply this structure to that book, so it can be something interesting to also read, because it's all about perspective. I can talk to you about something good from a bad perspective to create the bad feeling, but then introducing how that was a good thing as the conclusion. So much of your story structure is really encouraging for life. Yes, it is. I look at my life like if it's this. Sometimes I'm going through bad things and I'm like, don't worry, Zen. This is just your section 4. Now let's see what we're going to do for section 5 and section 6. Don't worry, Zen. This is section 7. We are not touching rock bottom, but we are close. Let's go for our conclusion. And that structure is stuck in my head. So thank you very much. Just hearing you talk about it, talk to me about it, and making me comments about it makes my head like boom, over the moon. So thank you very much. I'll see you Friday. And Friday will be reading. Where is the book? Where is the book for Friday? Is it not The American Queen? Where is it? It's a scary movie. It's a scary book. Friday will be reading something scary. Let's see what elements do horror writers use to create that unsettling feeling. and see how we can use it in on our own writing. See how does the structure work, the introductions, the descriptions, how does the atmosphere is created. So let's go for it. So you have been sanctified. I love saying it. The more I say it, the more I like it. So I keep saying I'm going to stop, but I think I'm not going to stop. So see you Friday and get sanctified. Bye, Giant Imagination. Bye, Jacqueline. If there's anyone that's still around, goodbye as well. Goodbye, somebody. Thank you for connecting. I don't know if Yasam got connected at some point, but if she did, hi. If you didn't, well, I was going to insult you, but I'm not going to because you're not here. You don't deserve that. And that's it. Hey, books and logs. Don't let me forget about that. Thank you very much for joining. And I think that's it. Thank you very much to everyone. And this is an applause for you. And see you Friday. Bye-bye.